we need to talk about the most interesting division in football in 2021, the NFC West. Now, before this video goes any further, I think it's important to mention that I do not have a horse in this race. See, I live in Michigan, therefore, I am a Lions fan, unfortunately. So, with that being said, all of what I'm about to say should come fairly unbiased. The only reason that I'm making this video is because this division, from somebody who's not in it, is very interesting to me. The amount of talent that this division has is a lot, which means that I think this is going to be a very fun division to watch moving forward this year. Okay, with that being said, let's start out with Seattle. With all of the quarterback stories that have been going on this offseason, the one that isn't a story is Russell Wilson. He is going to be entering his 10th year with this team, and he'll be doing so under a new offensive coordinator who has been deemed a quote-unquote mastermind. Mastermind or not, Russell is still going to have to deal with the fact that his offensive line is not the best. Yes, they definitely did get better with their trade for Gabe Jackson, but looking at it as a whole, you could always use a little bit more pieces to protect your star quarterback. I'm not saying that they're bad, I'm just saying that there's always room for improvement. And as usual, as long as they can keep Russell healthy and more importantly protective, he should have plenty of time to sit back there and cook. As far as the defense is concerned, Bobby Wagner is the last remaining Legion of Boom defender, and they did lose Shaquille Griffin in free agency. At least as of right now, there are more questions than answers in the Seattle Seahawks secondary, aside from Jamal Adams, who is, at least at the moment, the highest paid safety in the NFL. With all of that being said, the Seahawks probably have the greatest chance of winning this division, but only time will tell. Next up, we have the Rams, and as somebody who watched Stafford for the last 12 or 13 years, let me tell you something. That boy can throw the ball. But if you've read any article lately about the Rams, literally almost all of the headlines have the words Rams and Super Bowl in the same headline. And I don't, Sean McVay endured a fairly sizable turnover with his staff this season, and a lot of people are saying that the Stafford deal was seen more as a desperation play. I don't necessarily agree that it was a desperation play. Sure, Stafford is probably a little bit older than most people would like, but as somebody who knows him very well, he has plenty of juice left in the tank. I'm saying at least 3 or 4 years left where he is still good and what some would consider a playoff quarterback or a playoff caliber quarterback. But the big if is keeping him healthy, because he does have a lot of issues with his back because, as a Lion, we didn't have the best pieces anywhere. So therefore, he did get hit a lot. And the obvious injury headline for the Rams is Cam Akers out with the season with an Achilles injury. And now some of you are thinking, this is terrible. Now we don't have a running game. What are we going to do? Spoiler alert, Stafford never had a running game in the Detroit organization. And yet somehow he was throwing for thousands of yards. Granted, he had Megatron and all that fun stuff. But the point that I'm trying to make is the fact that just because you don't have a running game anymore doesn't mean that anything changes for Stafford. Stafford is like, oh, okay, this is just what I've been doing. So I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep, you need me to chuck the ball 50 times a game? I'm your guy. So don't worry. Yes, obviously it's a bummer. You don't want anybody to be injured, but I don't think it's going to be a big of a deal as a lot are thinking. As far as their defense is concerned, they are returning Aaron Donald as well as Jalen Ramsey, two very good defensive players, but they are not returning their defensive coordinator, and they lost 4 starters. The talent alone on this defense will probably put them in the top 10 at the end of the year, and it will probably need to be in the top 10 in order to compete with this ridiculously competitive division. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody wants to face this team in the playoffs, but are they Super Bowl contenders? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts if they are in the comments down below. Next up, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and as the late Jim Fassel would say, the San Francisco 49ers have put all of their chips in the middle of the table. The 49ers made an aggressive trade up to number 3 at this year's draft in order to take Trey Lance and create the obvious quarterback controversy between him and Jimmy G, who is generally more handsome than healthy. The Shanahan offense loves running the ball, but having a difference maker under center is what's really going to take San Fran to the next level. 2020 riddled the San Fran defense with injuries, and getting Bosa back to his healthy, strong, dominant self is going to be exactly what the defense needs so that hopefully they can look more like the 2019 defense and less like the 2020 defense. DeMeco Ryans is taking over for Robert Saleh, and some don't love that decision merely on the fact that he's only 6 years removed from his playing career. And last but not least, we have the Cardinals, which unfortunately in any other division would probably be maybe like the second best team. But in this division, at the moment, they're probably going to end up at the bottom. Now, it's great news that they're adding J.J. Watt to a defense that was already in the top 10 in 2020. Kyler Murray looks to be a future star, and he will have a plethora of weapons at his disposal. But this division is just too good. And a lot of people seem to have an issue with Arizona's management, which is what they believe will ultimately lead them in the basement of this division. Yes, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and Chandler Jones are very good, but the other teams are just better. And yes, on paper they do look good, but at the end of the day, in order to finish not last in this division, you're probably going to be seeing north of 10 wins. Now sure, can they surprise everyone and win a few more than 10 games? Obviously. Who do you think is winning this division? Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, feel free to give it a like, and if you want more sports videos, feel free to stick around and subscribe. As always, I'll see you guys next video.